Hello, we welcome you to the channel for everyone on the earth. This channel represents knowledge that remains secret, the causes of war and peace, life and death, philosophy and consciousness, the secrets of love and hatred are all explained in the channel for everyone on the earth. Let's go! Modern weapons and primitive weapons of the past have been and are being used for one reason: to take life. It brings death. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be." As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existent, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. A person identifies himself with the reflection of the one he sees in the mirror, and he does not have any other knowledge about himself, and even without offense, does not imagine that this is the most primitive way of cognition of the world at the level of feelings. He does not know that there is an acquisition of knowledge at the level of the mind, and further does not know that it is possible to receive knowledge of who you are directly from the Lord Himself. It is difficult for a person to realize that he is soul, that he is spiritual living being who is not reflected in the mirror, not material but spiritual, divine by nature. This is him. Today he is dressed in a human dress. These dresses of different nationalities, but always temporary, because the soul, a divine living being, Atma, a particle of the Lord, is eternal in these dresses. The presence of a soul in all living beings is determined by the presence of consciousness. A certain type of living being is endowed with a certain consciousness peculiar only to this type. So the soul getting into the body of a person considers itself a human. Getting into the body of an animal, it considers itself an animal. In the body of a fish, it considers itself a fish. In the body of a bird, it considers itself a bird, and so on. But in none of the bodies does it consider itself a divine particle of God, does not consider itself inseparable from Him, does not consider the Lord its Father, but itself a son or a daughter. The divine consciousness of the soul in the material world is covered with different forms of life, like an actor who plays many roles in his life. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. In the Vaishnava tradition, the science of immortality, of the awakening of one's true self, is presented in the works of Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita by Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishna Dasa Kaviraj Goswami, with comments by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Please think about what has been presented here, and we will be preparing the next issue. Let's go.